Boom. Nice. All right, everybody. We are here today to talk about how transitions aren't working. It's so frustrating when you have clip one, clip two, you want to put them together to make your awesome video, and you put the transition in and it just doesn't work. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work, and it's so frustrating. So the biggest thing that usually causes this is not a little extra wiggle room for the transition to pull from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into here on Davinci Resolve. This is universal for basically any video editing software. They all work basically the same. So we're going to use Davinci Resolve because it's free, and because I did a little tutorial on like the basics of it a couple weeks ago. So we're just going to go over that here. So if you look at my screen here, you can see I have these two little videos right now, and I just grabbed some videos of my walk in the woods the other day. So you can see I have these two cool little shots, okay? And normally what you would do is you'd say, oh, I'm going to take this this non-additive dissolve. You can whatever dissolve you're going to end up using, or crossfade, or whatever it is, and you're going to see, okay, cool, they transition well into each other. Now in this case, I'll make them a little bit longer, and well, we'll talk about the audio in a second. So I'm going to go from this. Nice rain. You can see how they kind of transitioned. Don't pay attention to the audio. The audio is something that we're going to do because we're going to need a transition for that too. But that's something we'll go over in just a second. So this is how it should work, right? You just throw it in there and Bob's your uncle, right? And it's done. Okay, but most of the time, not saying most of the time, but a lot of the times what ends up happening is this. So let me show you. I'm just going to pull this guy out here and bring this all the way to the end. Do you see how I'm dragging this, and there's that little red right on the edge there? Let me see if I can zoom in there. See that little like red edge, and then you have the green little box on the side. Don't pay attention to the green box on the side, just this little red edge. That means I have brought that clip to as far as it can go. And you can actually see that little outline. That means that's the end of the clip. That's when I stopped hitting record. So if we bring this back out here, what ends up happening is when you drop your clip into your video editor, it's the full size, unless you did an in and out and you know what you're doing with that. But in general, when you just drop it in there, it's just going to be the full size clip. You record for 5 minutes, boom, there's your 5-minute clip. So in this case, that's the end there. And then let's say, oh yeah, I like this guy. I'm going to just plop this guy over here. This one I've trimmed out. So this one we're not really going to pay attention to. You can see there's a lot left in there, so I'm just going to bring that back. But this one, if I try to butt these guys up, and this is the full length of the clip, if I try to add the dissolve, you see this is what ends up happening to most people. It's like, wait, it won't connect between the two. It only does that one right there, and it might be a little difficult to see, so let me zoom in here. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So you can kind of see in there, boom, right? I'm trying to bring it in, and it's just not working. That's because at the end of the clip, there's nothing for the transition to pull from. So the transition needs a little bit from each clip, a little bit from the left clip, a little bit from the right clip, in order to kind of merge them, to overlap them. So the quick answer here is all you have to do is just bring a little bit back. Let's just bring it back to that red line. Bring this guy back over here, and why don't we just bring that up? So non-additive dissolve, and you'll see, there you go. You can see now it's over both clips, right? So it's over both clips. It's a little hard to see, but let's drag that out a little bit. So see, now it's gonna work, right? It's not a very long, let me just bring that a little closer. It's not a very long transition. Actually, that's not a bad length of a transition. You can see that they just kind of plop in just the way that we're looking for. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna copy this up here just so you can see this guy. You know what, we're gonna reduce the audio because we don't really need to see that right now. There we go. So what you're gonna notice is when I pull this out, I'm trying to pull it out. I can't pull it any further than that. And look at the correlation that we have here with the transition. This has nothing to do with the transition itself. It's strictly because the transition says, hey, there's only this much more clip from this red line, from where we have that ended there, to where this is. That's as far as I can pull it. The transition is saying this is as far as I can pull that information from, because there's no more stuff hidden behind here. So if I were to, let's say, trim this back here and then bring this guy over here, you're gonna see I'll be able to pull the transition all the way over to there, assuming that this clip also has that amount hidden in the back. So let's go back here and let's just pull this out, and boom, there you go, look at that. So now if I try to pull this any further, it won't go. See, I'm trying to pull that out because there's nothing else extra for it to pull from. So you can go as far as you kind of hide this. Now, that's your answer. So if you're struggling, then there you go. Just trim both sides, make some of it hidden, and then use the transition. You're not losing anything, because in that transition, you're gonna see a little bit of each clip. So you don't have to worry that you're losing out on that footage. You're not getting rid of it. It's just kind of being covered a little bit in the transition. That being said, if you're like a talking head and I tried to transition in the middle of my sentence, that might not be the best. But in this particular case, it's not talking heads. It's just some footage of some trees. Get the rain going there, and then it goes into my slow-mo of the pond that was just outside there, right? So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and list them in the comments. I'm going to see what I can do about responding to that and expanding. So please feel free. If you know the answer to some of the questions, then feel free to answer those too. So a little best practice here. You'll notice that we have, I'm going to turn down my audio a little bit so you can hear it a little clearer. So let's bring back that audio waveform. So you see this waveform here, right? I have two separate audios. Obviously, I have two separate videos. So the audios when I recorded. You have these crossfades. Typically in any software that you're using, Premiere Pro, iMovie, Davinci, Final Cut, they're all going to have an audio transition version and a video transition version. And typically the audio transition version is going to be something like crossfade or constant power, I think it's called in Premiere Pro. It's going to have some sort of audio transition. So in this case, I'm just going to do a crossfade of 0 decibels. It's not going to increase, it's not going to decrease anything. It's just straight across the board, going to fade in and fade out to the next one. So we take this guy and we're going to do the same thing to the audio that we do the video. Actually, because what happens is these guys will link. So we're going to do that non-additive dissolve. I like that guy. So I'm going to bring that guy back into the video. I'm going to bring this over to the audio. That you see on the screen right now, that's the default length, which will vary depending on whatever program you're using. But you can always change these just based off of exactly what we just went over. Now that I have I have an audio and a video, they automatically link because they see that they're attached to the corresponding video that goes with the audio, which is really, really nice because it makes changing the audio transition a lot better and easier, and you don't have to drag too much stuff going on. So let's hear what this sounds like right now, right? So we're just going to bring this right here and hit play. And we could actually bring that down bring that a little bit more, but you heard that it kind of transitioned from the rain into the raindrops, the slow-mo raindrops. So let's just do that one more time. Okay, so you can kind of hear how that transition is smooth. Now let's go back here and let's just delete this. And actually, I didn't mean to delete this guy, but let's show you what it looks like, or what it sounds like rather, if you don't do that transition. Hear how that just kind of it just cuts right into it. And In this case, this is not really, I'm going to match these waveforms here a little bit more. In this case, it's not really that jarring because it's so low. But you could have something where maybe it's music or someone talking, right? Or the background music is very different. Maybe you go from the nice rainy scene to like, you know, a mall or a cafe or something with a lot of different sound in the background. So you definitely want to make sure that you transition that audio. So one more time after I increased that volume. There you go. That was a little bit easier to hear because you had that, you know, is the matching waveform. So it's about the same volume level. So one more time, let's do with the audio, and that's, what am I doing here? Whoops. Okay, so get rid of that guy. I'm gonna bring this guy in first. Let's see what happens when I do that. And boom, bang, boom, and bring this guy out maybe a little bit like that. And let's take a listen. Nice. Perfect. That's the basics. That's the basics of why your transitions aren't working. And it's so frustrating when you're trying to get started and you're just trying to make your videos, and I know the struggle. I've been through it a lot. It's one of those small little quirks that once you figure it out, once you learn it, it's easy peasy. It's one of the easiest things in the world. Just remember, you're not going to be deleting any information. You're just kind of hiding it to use in the transition. So let's go over one more little thing here. So you can see this clip is fairly long. I don't remember, it's 4 minutes or so. Or whatever it was, I don't remember. It's a fairly long clip. It's I don't know, it's about a minute. You can use any portion of this. You can see, I'm pointing with my finger. You can see that little white box that pops up. It says that's as far as long as it goes. No matter how you trim it. So this is trimming, right? I'm just trimming it left and right. I'm just taking it from the end and I'm just pulling it back. That's trimming. No matter how you trim it or how you cut it. So if I just cut it here and then if I delete this, gone, right? So you can see it's gone now. The information is still there. You haven't lost anything. There's no way, at least in the softwares that I've used, for you to delete that unless you delete it in the actual file itself on your computer. But you don't have to worry about that. So you can cut all kinds of stuff for days. Look at that. And make that into mincemeat. And look at this. Boom. Look at that. You don't have to worry about it. So that's one of the really nice things, is that you won't lose out. If you're worried about losing out and having it be destructive, as we call it, it's not destructive. And one of the things that I'll show you too, if I were to, you see that this blue right here, that's one of the markers, and then I have this purple marker here. If I were to take this guy, and I'm just going to copy him there, and let's say I bring him, I don't know, I'm going to blade this guy. I'm going to delete that. Boom, gone. When I bring this back, you'll see it's exactly the way that it was. That marker is still there. And that's really nice to have, especially if you take this clip and you cut it up and you take this part, and maybe you're going to use this out way over here, but you're only going to use this part right here. And then this part you're going to use way at the end. And then this part maybe is your beginning, right? So whatever you do to that clip isn't destructive. And you get to keep those markers, which is very helpful. One of the things you can do, this has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but just a nice little nicety, is you can change the clip color. If you wanted to say, oh, this is the part where the bird starts making its noise, right? So I could do that if I really wanted to. You'll hear it right here, I think. It's that guy right there. Right, so if I wanted to, I could always just go bing, bang, and then I can change this clip color and just, maybe I'll make it orange. I'm gonna get rid of this guy, and say, I want to keep that orange because I really want to know right off the bat when I'm looking at my clips what's going on. That's a little extra. We didn't really need to go over that because that has nothing to do with transitions. But if you have any questions, please contact me in the comments, and have fun. Really just have fun. It's very frustrating. It can be very frustrating on your first get-go, but you're gonna be great. You're gonna do awesome. It's like learning a language. If you try to learn French right now, you might learn, bonjour, and that was a terrible accent. Bonjour and au revoir pretty quick, but you're not gonna be able to go crazy with it. So just remember, it's like learning a language. It's a technical skill. It's difficult, but you're going to be totally cool. So let me know what you guys want me to cover in the next video. I'm always looking for more stuff that you guys are interested in. And if I don't hear from you, then, just keep creating. And as always, be good to each other. All right. You have a good one, guys.